Cell phones communicate with nearby cell towers mainly through radio frequency, RF, waves, a form of energy in the electromagnetic spectrum between FM radio waves and microwaves, with their strength growing as things go to 4G and then 5G. When using electronic devices, mobile phones, computers, microwave ovens, etc., essentially electromagnetic waves are generated. These waves can be absorbed by human or animal bodies. The specific absorption rate, SAR, is a numerical expression of these absorbed waves. SAR refers to the amount of radio wave energy absorbed in unit mass of human body, 1 kg or 1 gram. Units are WKG or MWG. Electromagnetic waves emitted by mobile phones are of high frequency, thus capable of body temperature increase. Such heat reactions are expressed quantitatively by SAR. Because RF EMFs can penetrate into the body and cause vibration of charged or polar molecules inside, it is critical to human health and safety. 3G is at least 20 times stronger than 2G and 4G is at least 20 times stronger than 3G and 5G will be around 50 times stronger than 4G. The long-awaited results of a $25 million National Institutes of Health study on the effects of cell phone radio frequency radiation exposure on animals is out. They showed a higher risk of tumors, DNA or tissue damage, and lower body weight in some groups of rodents. The study by the National Toxicology Program involved 3,000 test animals and is believed to be the most comprehensive assessment of the health effects of such radiation on rats and mice. Researchers also saw increases in damage to heart tissue in male and female rats. The male rat tumors were malignant schwannomas, based on limited research that shows a potentially elevated risk of schwannomas near the brain in people. The International Agency for Research on Cancer lists radiofrequency fields as possibly carcinogenic to humans. The Environmental Working Group's Olga Naidenko, a senior science advisor, for instance, said in a news release that the study should raise alarms for policymakers and awareness for all Americans. While the United States has transitioned to 4G LTE and 5G networks in recent years, the 2G and 3G frequencies are still used in voice calls and texting. In addition to cancer, the study looked at health effects such as evidence of tissue damage from the heat of cell phones, DNA damage and changes in body weight. Researchers said that they found some tissue and DNA issues. The NUNA study showed tumors in rats and mice and other parts of the body, the brain, prostate, liver and pancreas. The experiment involved placing rats and mice into special chambers and exposing them to levels of radiation that mimic 2G and 3G phones, which were standard when the study was launched, for 9 hours a day. The Federal Communications Commission in USA came under fire after it dropped a long-standing recommendation that consumers buy phones with lower radiation emissions. In 2015, the City Council in Berkeley, California, approved a disclosure ordinance that directed sellers to let buyers know of the risk of carrying devices too close to their bodies. Furthermore, a study conducted on 4G LTE effects, it says that we observed that a long duration of 4G LTE-based EMF had a harmful effect on spermatogenesis. In particular, the sperm and Leydig cell counts significantly decreased in the long-duration exposure group, showing that continuous cell phone use could be hazardous for fertile men, especially adolescent men. However, the 10-centimeter distance group with the same duration and same energy was relatively less affected by EMF, which could indicate that carrying a cell phone in the pants pocket, continuous access mode, could be harmful. The peer-reviewed journal Clinical Neurophysiology has just published research showing that 30 minutes of exposure to LTE cell phone radiation affects brain activity on both sides of the brain. The results demonstrate that radiofrequency radiation from LTE 4G technology affects brain neural activity in both the closer brain region and in the remote region, including the left hemisphere of the brain. Cell phone exposures and disease. This study establishes that short-term exposure to LTE radiofrequency radiation affects brain activity. The long-term effects of these exposures have yet to be studied, but there is already considerable evidence linking these exposures to a myriad of adverse biological effects, including sperm damage, DNA breaks, increased glucose in the brain, weakened bones, genetic stress, immune system dysfunction effects on unborn children. More worrying is the link between these exposures and a long list of diseases such as Alzheimer's disease, autism, brain tumors, breast cancer, brain cancer. A 2012 review concluded that together. The results of these studies have shown that radiofrequency electromagnetic radiation decreases sperm count and motility and increases oxidative stress. The evidence is already compelling. Many scientific and medical experts are sounding the alarm. Neurological cognitive disorders, such as headache, tremor, dizziness, loss of memory, loss of concentration, and sleep disturbance due to RF-EMF have also been reported by several epidemiological studies. Link of this blog and all the relevant references are provided in the description. The radial maze and Morris-Water maze test showed that learning and memory functions were reduced in rats exposed to 2,450 MHz EMF. Recent studies show that RF EMFs emitted by cellular phones are absorbed into the brain to a degree that can affect neuronal activity. In addition, the thermal effects of RF EMFs suggest the possibility of affecting neuronal activity by temperature generated by mobile phones. Therefore, there is a need for scientifically proven information on the effects of increasing exposure to RF EMFs on nerve cells, including neurodevelopment, function, and cognitive functions. An epidemiological study claimed that using cell phones for 1 hour a day for more than 10 years could increase the risk of tumors. Cell phone users have an increased risk of malignant gliomas, particularly those with acoustic neuromas. Moreover, many studies have reported associations between RF EMF and brain tumors. There is considerable evidence that exposure to RF EMF could cause various types of genotoxic effects in cells. Exposure to RF EMFs, 1800 MHz, SAR2-WKG, caused DNA oxidative damage in the mitochondria, DNA fragmentation and DNA strand breaks in neurons. This have been reported in lymphocytes exposed to various ranges of RF EMFs. In addition, RF EMF exposure has been reported to cause chromosomal instability, alteration of gene expression and gene mutations. Such genetic toxic effects have been reported in, but are not limited to, neurons, blood lymphocytes, sperm, red blood cells, epithelial cells, hematopoietic tissue, lung cells, and bone marrow. It has also been found that exposure to electromagnetic radiation, a type of RF EMF, increases the incidence of chromosomal aneuploidy. Genetic toxic effects, including aneuploidy, can lead to genetic disorders with abnormal gene formation, and can even lead to cancer. Electromagnetic waves, particularly RF EMFs emitted by mobile phones, are absorbed into the brain to such an extent that it can affect the activity of neurons. Research by the National Institutes of Health has reported that the RF EMFs emitted from mobile phones activates metabolic processes in the human brain. RF EMFs from cellular phones, 837.5 MHz, were exposed to 47 healthy humans' ears for 50 minutes. Then, immediately after injection of 18F-fluorodeoxyglucose, changes in brain metabolism were visualized by a positron emission tomography scan. Glucose metabolism in the brains that were exposed to RF EMF increased rapidly. This provided evidence that the brain is sensitive to the effects of RF EMF exposure. The thermal effects of RF EMFs suggest the possibility of affecting neuronal activity by temperature generated by mobile phones. The established thermal effects of microwave radiation are heat generation by the rotation of polar molecules induced by RF EMF. Some degree of temperature elevation can be lowered partially by blood circulation in the brain, but tissues such as the human eye, particularly the cornea, can be dangerous because there is no thermoregulatory system through blood circulation. For example, when rabbit eyes were exposed to 2,450 MHz 100 to 140 weight per kg SAR for 30 minutes, the lens was elevated to 41 degrees Celsius, leading to cataract. However, cataract was not induced in experiments using monkeys under the same conditions. Of course, although the SAR of the RF EMFs used in this experiment were set to be excessively high beyond the allowable limit, this does not exclude the possibility that RF EMFs may cause eye diseases such as cataracts in humans using cellular phones regularly for a long period of time. In addition to changes in genes, proteins, and proliferation in nerve cells exposed to RF EMF, physiological changes in cell membranes and ion channels at cellular levels have been reported. Changes in cell membranes and ion channels induce alterations in the electrical activity of neurons. and these changes stimulate or inhibit neuronal activity through interaction with voltage-gated ion channels. The activity of voltage-gated sodium channels has long been linked to disorders of neuronal excitability such as epilepsy, autism, migraine, multiple sclerosis, as well as muscle and immune system disorders, Parkinson's disease. Neonatal mice exposed to RFEMFs during pregnancy showed significantly decreased memory, but increased behavioral activities. These changes suggest a possibility of hyperactivity disorder and memory impairment in exposed mice during the early stages of development. So what is the solution? The solution is quite simple and not costly and will have very good effect, but has to be implemented fully and completely. If you have a laptop or desktop, get wired connection from the service provider of your choice. This will eliminate the signals flying in the air, creating a wave of harmful energy directed against you, and so you will be spared of all the trouble completely. So what is a wired connection? A wired connection is Ethernet connection that connects into the RJ45 port of desktop or laptop. The setup is all done by the service provider. It has higher data speeds and stable network connection as compared to Wi-Fi, hence ideal for gaming or video, or live video chat. No glitches, no interruptions or disturbances. If you do not have the RJ45 Ethernet port on your desktop or laptop, then you can buy Ethernet to USB adapter. In this way, you can directly plug into the USB port of your laptop or desktop. You can even use the internet connection for data to your tablet, PC or cell phone. Depending on the USB port that you have in your tablet or cell phone, whether it be a normal USB port, or micro USB port, or micro B USB port, or micro C USB port, you can buy an Ethernet to micro USB port adapter, or Ethernet to micro USB B port adapter, or Ethernet to micro USB C port adapter. Hence, you can use wired connection absolutely with any and every electronic device of your choice. The other solution is to get a 3G dongle. Yes, not a 4G dongle, but a 3G dongle for yourself. Put the SIM into the dongle. Get a 3-meter long connecting wire. The one end of it will have female USB port, and other end will have male USB port, which will go into the USB slot of laptop or desktop. So in this way you would be sitting 3 meters away from where the dongle is. Take care to place the dongle at such a position where the breeze won't bring the charged air to you, but is taking it out and away from your room or house. Remember that you have to purposefully not be using a 4G dongle, and not be using 4G if you are using the second method. Further, it is important to mention that any kind of addiction is bad, whether it be smoking, or liquor, or sex, or gambling, or unnecessary shopping, or whether it is internet. Any kind of addiction is, after all, addiction. And it is bad. You can use the internet for paying online your bills and getting different kinds of discounts on necessary purchases, and especially for doing Christian spiritual work or to work from home. But definitely you have to keep in mind and be careful about the fact that you are not spending too much time on the internet, so just when your online work is done, switch off the internet connection. Remember, being too much a workaholic is bad. And to be too lazy is bad, so anything too much is definitely bad, and sugar is otherwise good, but in large quantities a poison. In general times, it is good to have a life that is more of a natural, because natural is normal, and hence, it is better that you spend more of your time close to trees and bushes and water and fresh air. It is good to be doing your household or professional works just to keep yourself healthy and fit, and be only visiting the internet or social sites for a little while, and not being hooked to it too much. This is extremely important and should be observed religiously. One more thing about the radio frequency electromagnetic radiation is that it brings dryness, and hence, every time after using internet, wash your eyes, the insides, putting them in water in a small vessel, cup, cleansing glass, opening and closing both your eyes for a little while in the water. So also wash your face just with water, and apply water to arms and chest, cause it relieves of the bad energy from electronics and radiation. One important fact is that eyes too much on screens of laptop or TV or mobile start bringing delusions, even hallucinations, along with strain, headache and redness and impairment to vision. So live absolutely natural. Do this for 7 days, and you will experience a complete change, the original you, and normalcy in your life. Of course, all Wi-Fi 3 or 4G signals have to be completely shunned in your house during these 7 days, because they are the main culprits. Completely avoid sitting beside someone using internet in phone or in laptop. So in a way, quarantine yourself from all the harmful signals completely. Let me tell you, and believe me, people have sold out their house and gone away just because there was a cell tower very near to their house. So you can very well at least do this. Remember that what is natural is best. So this is all that can be done on personal front, but more important it is that a campaign or movement be started to compel the government to make a law that makes it mandatory to use 4G and 5G only via wired connection, so that the extremely harmful signals are not flying in the air. Health is wealth, and a human being can only enjoy life to its fullest being completely healthy. And there is nothing more precious than life. Hallelujah, Amen.